You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with
Michelle Fonda,
Nathan Brockett,
and Brandon Fitch.
All right, today is a very special day, you all. We are honored to have, that's why I wore a tie for those watching. We are honored to have Brandon Fitch on here. I'm sure that he has some really eloquent title. I just call him the boss. You might have seen him before on such things as the Recovery Rally Frankfurt and what was the other one?
Overdose Awareness Day.
It's been a pleasure working for you. Not always at the beginning getting to know you, but a pleasure working for you for sure. And now I consider you a dear friend. We bumped heads when I was coming through Centerpoint, obviously. But we've been trying to get him on, and he's been ducking and dodging us for a while. So
Slippery.
We're glad. We're glad to have him on. Everyone, welcome Brandon.
Yay!
So I hear you say that you've been trying to get me on. And I think last week was the first time I was asked.
But it's been brought up before.
I really realized and I recognize that it took that long to build up the courage. When you first walked in this morning, too, I thought, is there a funeral? Something's going on.
It's a big day.
That's right.
Does he have a job interview somewhere?
I wish.
No. I'm the program director, program manager, of Turning Point Recovery Community Center. I keep tapping the table too, so I apologize. But they call it a program manager, but when it comes to any kind of outside organization or the news or the media, we want to say program director because it's been told to me that nobody knows what a program manager is, so it's a lot easier to say. So, yeah.
Okay. Right on. Well, I couldn't say either one. But
it's kind of like anonymity.
Anonymity. Exactly. So we just wanted to have you on since you've never been on and, kind of tell how you got to this position, your pathway through recovery. And then we might talk about some of the things the new stuff we're doing here at Turning Point.
Yeah,
for sure. So how long do we have?
You know how I like to do it, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, so about an hour and 45 minutes is what I heard.
Yeah.
No, lived experience. That's how I got here, and to really put my story into a short little box. I say we all grew up the same. We didn't, but we probably all grew up for the longest time thinking that we were in a normal situation or a normal family until we started meeting other families and realizing that we're not always that normal. But I grew up in a small town here in Western Kentucky, and I did normal things. I played baseball. I was in Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Weeblos. If you guys know what that is.
Oh, I do. I was a
We Be Loyal Scouts.
Yeah.
I was doing and I was an only child too, so I was always doing my best to be, I guess, the golden child. I didn't really have anybody to compete with, but I wanted to be the best child I could be. Did all the right things, Eventually ended up being in a program called Explorers, which was for law enforcement cadets. That always didn't go over too well in high school, as you can only imagine. And I did really well in there, too. I got to know what law enforcement looked like. I wanted to be a police officer when I grew up and got out of high school. And then, as I got into high school, I started seeking ways to be friends with everybody because just like all of us always say in meetings and when we tell our story, we didn't feel like we fit in. Right. So I realized I could have parties. And those parties would bring in a lot of people and so-called friends. And it made me feel better about who I was. And I also realized that at that early age, that by being a law enforcement explorer and having parties, they usually left me alone. So when there was noise complaints or when the cops were called, they would just say, "Oh, it's Brandon. We'll leave him alone and give him a pass."
That is cool.
So at an early age, I'm learning that if you look good on the outside, all the other BS that you're doing can be overlooked if you're looking good in one side. So I mean, that went on for such a long time, and I say most of it's a blur, but every year or so I kind of get a summer back in my memory, you know, and we always say, like, you know, in these meetings, hey, I'm an open book. I mean, there's missing chapters.
Oh, of course.
You know, there's definitely missing chapters, and I say I'm an open book, but there's some sealed pages too that I don't always share with everybody. But you know, it's just normal high school stuff. Drank a lot, had a good time, had some bad times, but you know, life just went on. 9/11 happened around that time. That tells you guys how old I am, which we're close there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That must have been one of those missing chapters.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and the world kind of got serious all of a sudden. I had taken on a lot of responsibilities with my family's business, got the opportunity to open my own business, and I took on a lot of stress. Stopped doing the police thing because I took over those responsibilities. But at an early age, I think, looking back, I took on too many responsibilities. Disconnected from some of those friends that I was in high school with, some of them that kind of went down a different path. But I always thought myself to be better, I guess, better than other people. You know, and that was a tough lesson to learn later on in life that I wasn't. Right. You know, and when that stress kind of got to be overwhelming for me, running businesses at such a young age, and I don't say that to brag. You know, that's just part of my story. I started let me go back. I got into a small accident doing something I had no business doing, which was a little gymnastic stuff. I had no experience doing anything like that.
Gymnastics. That's
I know. You're picturing me in like a leotard.
American Gladiators.
Maybe a onesie or something like. No, it wasn't like that. Yeah, it was. No. But no, just with some friends. They did gymnastics. They went to the gym out there, and it was a place in nearby. And I got really good at doing what's called a standing back tuck. And I say I got really good. I had like 3 good tries and 3 successes. And I thought, you know what, I can get off the pads and go onto the concrete, and did that. And then I ended up, I guess, giving up in the middle of it. Splat. Yeah. So I had a neck injury, a bulge disc. Went to the doctor, and that's when they prescribed me some pain medication. It wasn't the strongest that I've ever taken, I can promise you that, but it was kind of what opened the door for me. Sure. You know, I went there for the pain, got the medication, and something happened. You know, I told you about all that stress I was experiencing and just taking on too many responsibilities at a young age. Something happened. It killed the pain, did that job, but it also did another job I didn't expect it to do. It kind of reduced the stress and anxiety, and it helped me work better. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I didn't have any experience with addiction or anybody that had been in addiction, but that little pill was magic to me. You know, it made all that stuff go away. I was able to be a better worker, better boss, better person, more energized, all those things. So I had a problem, and it became the solution to that problem. Yep. But just like all of our stories, I'm sure we can all relate is I wanted more and more and more. And that little piece that I would take wasn't enough, so I would take another piece, and then it became the whole pill and more and more and more. You know, and it's just, it led me down a path that I thought I would never go down. I started seeking out the friends that I disconnected from because I thought I was better than. But they also had something I wanted, you know, and started doing things I never thought I would do. You know, I started stealing from people, taking from people. You know, I used to use those pills to work better, and then it turned out that I had to have those pills in order to even show up. You know, that's a bad, miserable situation. Yeah. Never thought I would use sharp instruments to get that drug in my system. And before you know it, I was a pincushion, you know? Yeah. It was just rough. It was rough.
It happens fast, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my story is very similar to that, you know, getting in a car accident, getting Lortabs for the first time, and it just a long, winding road after that of down the path of addiction. But, you know, ultimately, you got it together. You know, you were able to pull yourself out. How many times have you been in treatment?
I like that word, ultimately. It sounded like nice little gift wrapped. Ultimately, poof.
I mean,
Ultimately, in that phrase or statement, ultimately, there was a lot of stuff going on.
sure, but like I said, we've only got 20 minutes left of that hour and a half.
Are we counting down now? Oh, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, that's been a long time, hasn't it? Ultimately, yeah. I mean, obviously things got worse. I had plenty of detectives knocking on my door, telling me to come down and visit them. And I learned if they tell you to do that, it's a trick. You're not going to come back usually. They've already got enough information on you. Spent some time in jail, got out, got a slap on the wrist, and that wasn't enough to wake me up. Ultimately, I got together after a couple years sitting in jail. And I always say this, I went to the judge on sentencing day and been in rehab for like a week, and then I had to go to sentencing. And they taught me one thing in there was to not be selfish when you pray. And I've never prayed in my life. Didn't believe in a higher power or anything like that. I've got my own concept of spirituality today. But, I got up there and I thought, well, they said be humble too. Don't be selfish, be humble when you pray. And I said, Judge, I'm not asking you to do what I want, which is probation. I'm just asking you to do what you think is good for me. And in my mind, that was manipulation. But I was thinking, I'm going to be sounding humble up here. And then he, looks at me and he shakes his head. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting his attention. Got him. And he said, I remand you to custody at DOC. I'm like, God. After that was, I had 14 and a half years, 14 and a half years in a sentence. Some of it was 2 different cases. And I ended up getting shocked out on part of it, and then the other part I had to serve my time, but and make parole. But they made their point after 6 months. They clearly made their point after 6 months. But I also had another year and a half after that to really think about my actions, And I remember sitting in there thinking, man, if I can get out of here, I'm going to do better. And I thought that for about a year and a half. And finally, one day, I got the opportunity to go to Centerpoint in Paducah, which is a recovery center for men. You guys have talked about it a lot on here. And by that time, my willingness was through the roof. I had been through so much.
I imagine.
You've been there.
I've been that guy that's been in jail, been like, just give me a chance and I'll get it right. And, and it just happens to work out somehow, I guess.
And I've said that so many times, though, and I've gotten out on bond or bail. I don't know how many times they've gotten me out on bail. My family has, and I've, screwed it up every time. But this time was different because they had stopped answering my calls. My family did. And then they started again after a long time. I was just done. I was done. I'd submitted, And when I got there, they have you do these structured things like, chores, waking up at a certain time, having a responsibility, and I hear guys today complaining about having to take care of a cat out there, having to do some maintenance. I would have been willing to do every single one of those jobs, I just took it serious. I definitely took it serious.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, did you know it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because they get lonely? Here at Turning Point, we don't want you to ever be lonely either. That's why we're open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Always feel free to come hang with our friendly staff, and don't forget your guinea pig. We're located at 415 Broadway Street, downtown Paducah. As a woman in recovery, I know how important having a fellowship of women has been for me. Come join us at the Women of Worth All Recovery Support Group here at Turning Point, 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky, every Friday night at 6 p.m., where we discuss our personal experiences in recovery. Hope to see you there.
I think it's cool. You talk about how, they thought she was manipulating the judge or whatever and asked for what they thought you should have. And it's when we get those little things, which I see now as an answered prayer. You know what I mean? Like those things that we think we get the time, got to go sit down in jail for a while, or got to do 6 months of treatment. We look at it like, oh, it's this big roadblock. When's this ever going to end? And then you get through it, and you realize that was probably the best thing that's ever happened to you. I mean, we hear that
Might have been
multiple
exactly
times.
what you needed, and that's what you asked for.
We hear it multiple times, like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, and it's, our perceptions changed through this. Like, we get to do that today, and we learned something from it. So, it's when you hear about that, the complaining and oh, I have to do all this stuff. It's kind of funny because we walked that walk and said the same thing, and then here we are, like, man, that was awesome, and we can look back on that like it was, it was a gift, really. I love that I love that change in perception on stuff. It's awesome. Absolutely.
So you came through there, and like us, you peer mentored.
Yeah.
And then,
That's where we met too, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I was staff
you
by
were,
then,
You were
yeah.
staff by
Yeah.
then. Peer mentored. How many times did you peer mentor?
3.5, I think, almost there a year peer mentoring.
Wow.
They told me when the door opens, you'll know it's yours. And it did. Thelma, our vice president now, she was the site administrator over at Centerpoint. She came to me and said, hey, we're about to open this new program. It's grant funded, called Turning Point. And actually, they didn't have a name for it. They called it the Recovery Community Center at the time, which it was just starting. That was back in 2018 when they had the concept. And she had asked me to apply, and I was honored. I mean, if Thelma ever asked you to do anything, it's always an honor because she's so revered as a human being, a kind, caring, compassionate human being. And if she sees something in you, wow. She sees something in everybody, but if she sees something in you, wow. That's right, Thelma.
She never saw nothing in me.
We did though, man.
She does.
She saw something.
does.
So it kind of like just kind of goes through us to you.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Just kidding.
We love Matt Lewis.
But Michelle, you worked for Brandon when he was.
Oh,
at
yeah.
I forgot Michelle was here.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Hi, Michelle.
You were directly employed by Brandon at Centerpoint, weren't you?
Yeah. And now you work from here at Turning Point.
Yeah.
Which Brandon boss is better?
They're the same.
We're recording this.
Yeah.
No, actually, I met Brandon when he was still working over at Turning Point on Kentucky Avenue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the long ago.
Yeah. So before he was the SOS caseworker supervisor over at Centerpoint.
Yeah.
Oh, Brandon Fitch, APSS.
Yeah.
He said APSS, not
And that's it.
POS.
So I got to know Brandon whenever I first moved back here to Paducah, and I really enjoyed going to those meetings. It was really weird though because I really looked up to him as a person, like being able, he was chairing the meetings and he always had good stuff to say. And I was like, man, he's just a real genuine guy. And I mean, you were. And then
Where
it
this
was
is going.
Yeah. But it was really cool that he ended up being my boss over at Centerpoint. I was like, oh, well, that's cool, And I did train him on how to be a caseworker.
Thank you.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, you trained Brandon at one point.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that, do we?
Yeah, but Matt's like, I'm going to pair him with you. And because it was during the COVID lockdown, and we were on a hiring freeze, and we were really short staffed. So he was working over at Turning Point, and then coming over to Centerpoint, helping us out.
So the
Lots of
student
hours.
became the master.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
She taught me well. She told me what to do a lot.
I was going to mention
She's good.
that.
She's good at that. Looking back at those Turning Point days when I first met Michelle, like it was, and I loved her then. Like she was such a strong personality, and it was just me and Shamika, who was my predecessor, there opening the program up. And Shamika, sometimes she needed to take some time off and go home because we were working 12-hour days, several days in a row, just to keep the thing going. And then we would, lo and behold, we'd end up with an all-women's meeting. And then Shamika and I didn't really have a conversation about it, and Shamika would go home, and we'd both forget that it was an all-women's meeting that night. So then I'd be, asking the ladies, are you okay with me sitting in this? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's okay. I'm telling you, the deer in the headlight looks that I experienced for me.
Right. I thought you'd share a couple of them when I first started here. It was wild.
It's wild, I'm telling you. And they've always got great conversations, great meetings. But you walk lightly in those.
Oh, I can only imagine.
You definitely walk lightly. And Michelle was always just a firecracker in those things, and she was well voiced. Yeah.
That's a great compliment. Well voiced. I like that.
Yeah,
you are
well
well
voiced.
voiced.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
AKA.
What?
We better not.
No. I don't know. I was lost on that one. You're in the headlights.
Yeah.
No. So whenever you did the SOS caseworker supervisor thing, of course that's where me and Matt met you. Just gonna say we thought you were an uptight individual.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. Like Brandon's like, oh God, we better not get caught doing anything like not having our masks down because we had the COVID thing going on. I was telling Matt.
I think that job kind of calls for you to be a little
absolutely.
more of a hard ass, but you know
Well,
you don't want when you're in the program. That's
Yeah, I remember
You don't
asking
like that
him,
guy.
being like, because he's it's his personality, not personality, just the
His
way he
accountability is
carries
on point.
himself with us
Thank
now.
you, Michelle.
Thank you.
But
you are
all right.
just.
You feel me kicking you on the table? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, let's talk about
go ahead.
my first encounter
Yeah,
that
that's
I
what-
really remember.
That's what I was leading up to.
With Brandon, we
So
were on
frame, it's a beautiful sunny day.
beautiful sunny day, and we've just been quarantined. All right? I was in the shower and get out expecting to go smoke a cigarette, and I was told I can't leave the room.
All your
for
free will was
quarantine.
taken.
So here it is. I'm trying to follow the rules by not smoking in my room.
Thank you for that.
8 hours later is what it felt like. I don't know how long it was. I'm looking out my window, and all the staff is standing in the staff smoke yard out there smoking, and they're taking out one room at a time from the other side of the building. I don't know. You'd have to be there. But I decided to say something about them being lazy and they should take out people from rooms from both sides of the complex at a time. And, Brandon didn't like my attitude. And
It wasn't necessarily the attitude. Yeah, it was the delivery.
Yeah.
It's not always the pizza.
He started yelling at me. I was on the second
Yelling?
floor. And
Yelling.
then he comes
Sternly.
running.
Yeah.
Then he comes running up the stairs into my room.
I walked fastly with a purpose.
And burst through the door.
Burst through the door.
He
Opened
knocked
it.
on the door first.
Opened it with assertiveness.
Screaming at the top of his lungs. I mean,
No.
this was my version.
Being demonstrative. Being
But that
demonstrative.
was, I took a look at it.
Did he?
Actually, what made sense is like, you're being a smartass. I know, because I'm a smartass.
We can smell our own
fair
kind.
enough.
I mean,
Right, fair enough. I got you. And I was being, so that was our first encounter. And
do I get a rebuttal? No.
Yeah, I thought you were rebuttaling as we went.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Walked through the door.
Gently entered with purpose. Yeah.
Okay, from your perspective then.
So you were a staff member during that time.
Yeah, I was there that day.
Oh my
One of the
lord.
laziest stuff. Oh, sorry.
No, we don't have to go. We don't have to hash all that out. But meeting Matt, and I'd already met him before. Meeting Matt during that experience, that was a tense time for everybody because most of our staff was out sick with COVID as well, so we were all overworked. As
I'm
well.
selfish.
We know, buddy.
And we were just taking a break from delivering sodas and snacks and games to everybody's rooms during that
I got
time.
one puzzle.
I'm so sorry. He only got one puzzle. And to know where we are today from what was that, 2-3 years ago?
2.5.
2.5 years ago.
Close to that, yeah.
And I'm not saying I've grown a lot, but Matt has grown a lot since.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I would say that.
I think we've all grown quite a bit, and we've grown to be, a family, a dysfunctional family at that, but a family, which is
What family isn't?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
This is a little more
The dysfunctional ones that can admit it are the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fun family.
And we've just all grown from that. That is cool, and I'm gonna say Matt is. This is going to be recorded. He's actually a top-notch human being today.
Wow. Top-notch.
He is. He is under that crusty exterior. Some called a curmudgeon.
It comes with the age.
Is that you moisturize? Is a really caring human being. Some would call soft.
No one would do that to my face.
They do it in writing. But just to see where everybody has come so far, that's what makes this worth doing. I was told early on, working in recovery, you're not going to become a millionaire. That's what I always want to do, is become a millionaire or become wealthy, and that stuff doesn't matter. You know, I get to fill my spiritual wallet. I get to fill my soul up on a daily basis by using all that crap from my past and seeing other people with the similar crap from their past and just become better, you know, and then we get to watch other people get better. I mean, that's awesome. You know, that's awesome.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I love what we do around here, man. This podcast is a lot of fun. Our outreach, our events, our meetings, our one-on-ones, everything has just been really fun. And talk about some of the new stuff we're doing. We're moving forward in a lot of areas, especially our outreach, which is really exciting. Do you want to talk about that some?
So we have a new tent.
Yay, tent!
Which we should get sometime next year. No,
One day.
One day. It's full graphics. You know, it's pretty cool. No, we're you know, and Nathan crunched the numbers. In the past year, we have expanded our reach to people by 446%.
447.17%.
That's crazy.
I mean, that is a lot. You know, we are reaching a lot of people. You know, but we are in a big region too. We don't just serve McCracken County, which is where Paducah is in Kentucky. We serve this entire western end of the state, and then that's our responsibility. You know, so we're doing more and more to reach these more remote and rural areas. Michelle has gone out to different libraries and different places in the surrounding counties, and I know we all have, setting up tents and handing out brochures and information, harm reduction, Narcan, fentanyl test strips. You know, we get an opportunity to have conversations with people, break down some stigma. That's pretty cool, too. Yeah. That's pretty cool, too. Some of the other things that we've got going on moving forward, of course, we have events here. But the quick response team, I know you wanted me to talk about that. Yeah. You know, that's...
Yeah, I just think it's awesome.
Oh, my God. That's one of those, you know, everything we do is exciting. You know, all these little things that we get to do, and they're big things to people, is exciting. But with the quick response team, getting the opportunity to travel to wherever the overdose survivor is. You know, we get to find out that there's been an overdose survivor. These different agencies, these law enforcement, EMS, let us know, and then we partner up with them to go visit either the family or the individual themselves within a very short window, because that's the time you got to hit while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Putting Narcan in their hands, consoling the family and helping them get through a situation, and bridging the person to treatment. You know, that's that, and I take it personally too. You know, especially with some of these counties around, just like this county next to us that Michelle and I are from. You know, that's our family over there. I mean, they're all our family, but we take it personal, and we go over there and just, I mean, do everything we can to get the person to take the next step that works for them, whatever their path is, as long as they're making some better improvements. And we always hope it's treatment of some sort. But if it's just having support from us, or telling the family, hey, you're not alone. If you need to talk to us, let us know. I mean, that's some really cool stuff. And we've seen great success with it. You know, we've seen great success. These young people that are using fentanyl, I mean, you know, we're no longer dealing with a population that is accidentally getting fentanyl. It still happens. They're still accidentally getting fentanyl in pressed pills. But we're dealing with a generation of people that are actively seeking fentanyl. Their dealer is saying, this is fentanyl, and they're going to say, I want it. You know, it's no longer an accident, and they're overdosing. You know, and getting these people to harm reduction or Medicaid-assisted treatment or treatment itself, you know, and then seeing them later on post online, this is my first day of college, or I got a new car. Yeah, man. I mean, you can't see, I got sleeves on, but I get chills thinking about it. You know, they're changing their lives, and we've played a part in that. Yeah. There's no better reward than that.
I agree.
Not at all.
Use the word personal. It's a personal thing. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know, being like the first person these folks see and being that beacon. I was talking about that this morning during morning meditation. All of us being a beacon for people, and you know, you never know what impact just being there. Yeah. And I know there's been times we haven't been able to reach the people, but they know we're there, and they know we care, and they know how to reach us.
The seeds were planted.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, you know, I think, and I didn't know of things like that quick response teams and all that stuff back where I'm from. So Western Kentucky has made such a huge impact in people's lives. I think it's wild. You know, people that have this concept of doom and gloom when it comes to having overdoses and stuff like that. Where we can be that little light switch. You know, it's pretty cool. I love it. I do.
We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. You want to know something? My biggest issue with meetings is despite their name, they are never about me. Here at Turning Point, all of our meetings are for you and about you. We have meetings at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week. We are located at 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky. Call 270-444-3621 for more information.
Every day, an average of 130 people die from an opioid overdose.
Opioid overdose is the leading cause of death among adults 50 and younger in the United States.
Naloxbox helps save the lives of overdose victims, and there are now over 600 units installed nationwide. But we can do better.
Each unit increases access to naloxone, it reduces the stigma that's often associated with opioid overdose, and it works to save lives one box at a time. We hate that there are so many places in this country that need naloxbox units, but the truth of the matter is there are still so many more that need them. Although rescue should not be the only strategy used to address this epidemic, it remains a very important one. You have the chance to improve victim outcomes and the chance to reduce overdose deaths. Whether you're in the private or public sector, you can make a statement that you care. You can install a naloxbox, and you can help us save lives.
And we say the most elusive thing in early on recovery, or for people who are even considering getting better in that sense, is hope. Yeah. That is the most elusive thing, because we've all been there. Absolutely hopeless. Yeah. Maybe we didn't want to die, but we didn't necessarily care what the result was, as long as we can get through that next hour. Yeah. And we're all sitting there, and we all talk to people every single day. Our faces are on Facebook, on our Facebook page, doing things, and they're seeing us, and they know our story because we've shared it with them, and that gives them hope. If an addict who used needles all the time, like myself, can get better, that gives hope to somebody else who's in the exact same boat. And that is invaluable. Yeah. That is priceless. Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff, man.
It really is.
Absolutely.
And then, people know that they can reach out to us, how many friends I've had is like, hey, I got a friend here who's using, and do you think that you can help get them in the treatment? Just knowing that, that they can turn to us. And we've got facilities, that we work with personally, like almost on a daily basis. We can just bridge them to treatment almost instantly. Yeah.
The idea of an RCC is to be a hub. Yeah. We're not necessarily in the pocket of one particular group of people or things. We're here to find the best path for that person.
For the people.
For the people. And you mentioned Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right. Kentucky is, I talk to people, I have family in Idaho, and they're just always saying, we need something like that here. You mean you guys get to offer people treatment at no cost? 6 month, 9 month, yeah, that exists here. Kentucky is on board with recovery. We are blessed to have that. You look at different states and they don't get those opportunities. No. They don't. The state of Kentucky, the government is on board with it. They're the ones that fund us, and they're helping us get, reach people and help them and get them into a better lifestyle. That's phenomenal right there.
Oh, yeah.
We are blessed to have that.
Absolutely. So on a less serious note, how does it feel from the time that you... I got to ask this, eat me up. I know it's just a podcast and everything. So from the time that you were hired as an adult peer support specialist for Turning Point, how does it feel to be the program director coming from that? It ain't been that long ago since you were just, 2018 you said? Mm-hmm. So 4 or 5 years? Mm-hmm. And you went from there to now. How does that feel?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Some days I wonder, have they lost their mind?
Matt wonders that too.
First off, we work for Fort Rivers, right? This is a company, that gives people chances. I've heard it before, anytime you're ever ungrateful while you're working here, you just gotta kind of remind yourself, you're lucky they let you in the parking lot with all your charges. That's they give us opportunities. They look beyond the criminal record and say, what is this person capable of doing? What is this person doing in their life to help other people. You know, they give us opportunities. It's crazy to look back, you know, that long ago and realize, you know, I go to visit Centerpoint all the time. I got sponsees there, and I'm like, yep, I remember that, and I cannot believe how far I've come. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back, but I look back at the person I was, and I'm like, who was that?
Man.
You know,
That's what recovery can do for somebody.
Yeah. And they trust me today. Again, they're either crazy or I'm doing something right, you know? And I appreciate that. And we always talk about paying our debt to society, you know? Some of us have gone to jail. Some of us kind of slid through the cracks and got a diversion and completed the diversion, which is amazing because that rarely happens, you know? But we all have a debt to society to pay, right? You know, and a lot of us spend our time in jail or probation or parole and pay that debt. But I think, you know, we're all sitting here today. We're all living our lives as though that debt has never been paid, you know? And I think that if I continue to do that moving forward, if I continue to live my life as though that's something I'm never going to pay off, it's not a, you know, I'm not ticking away at a total. Yeah. I'm going to be successful. You know, I'm going to be a success in life, not money, successful in life. I'm going to be happy when I lay my head down. I'm going to be content when I wake up. You know, I'm going to have a fulfilled day. You know, that's a good feeling.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's about for me today, is having that peace that I never had before. You know, coming to bed, going to be able to lay my head down and go to sleep, for one, without using anything, which was I didn't do for a long, long time. And then just to have a good night's sleep and wake up and like, today I'm going to help somebody. Like, that's my goal. And I have peace in that. And that's amazing.
Yeah, man.
You went to sleep while you were out there in the madness?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't. I mean, I passed out on occasion out of exhaustion, but that was about it.
I didn't go to sleep without using a substance.
Okay.
You know, but
yeah, usually when I used a substance, I woke up, you know. But,
well, you know, everybody does different drugs.
Yeah, true. True. Many pathways.
Yeah.
No, it's some good stuff. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing who we get to reach today. You know, and how we get to watch people grow, and it helps us grow. I think. You know, it helps us grow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I can speak for everyone. I love working here. I think you're a great boss, of course. You know, I think you. That's
contrary to everything Matt has said in every podcast, I believe.
Matt will be on the side note on that one. I think he agrees with me though. You're an awesome guy, not just as a boss, but as an individual. You renewed my when everything was when I first started working here. It was a little lacking, I'll say. Not saying anything bad, but we just didn't really have that direction, you know. And I remember saying, you know, I believe Brandon's going to breathe new life into the program. And I certainly, from that time that I said that to now, you know, you even said the number. So it's been, so all of us, we enjoy doing what we do here.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But I mean, no amount of direction even matters if we don't have a phenomenal team, you know. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm saying we got that dysfunctional family, but that dysfunctional family is what makes it work.
Yeah. I mean, I like how one of your mottos is, you know, 50% productivity, 50% fun, you know, as long as something's getting done. And that just keeps the vibe chill. You know, we're all here to try and help people and stay sober and improve ourselves. So it's a great work environment.
Oh, yeah.
And I love our team. And I know that it's like shifted a few times, but ultimately we have a good team and we are helping people. You know, I say all the time that I'm going to try and help someone today, and that's what my goal is. But I really feel like I am actually helping people today, not just trying, you know. So it's a good feeling.
You know, people come in all the time, and they're asking for Michelle. They're asking for Matt. They're asking for Nathan. They're asking for Amanda, Logan, Evan. You know, when you guys have made those personal connections with somebody, you're helping somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And when they see you on a daily basis, still sober, you know, with a smile on your face. Matt's actually had a smile on his face a lot lately too. That's awesome. You know, when they come in and see that, that's helping somebody. I mean, that's that hope that they need. That's cool right there. You know, and I've always said, you know, people are going to look up to you when you're in sobriety long enough. People are going to look up to you whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be an example for recovery whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And just like they always say, you're going to carry the message one way or the other, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. I'm glad to be on the positive side of that today, for sure.
Oh, I was carrying a bad message for a while.
In the
Why do the same
newspapers.
things keep happening? Because you keep doing the same things, you know? Like, the definition of insanity.
I was definitely a victim of circumstance
Yeah.
for a long time.
Bad things always happen to me. Well, where do you keep going? Like, the same places? Yeah. I don't know why that happened. Well, did you walk into the trap house? I did.
Right.
Why do people keep stealing my stuff? Oh, well, maybe it's because of the company I keep, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it takes being able to take a look at that and seeing your part in it, you know. But I think this was a good podcast. And Brandon, I really am glad that you came on finally. You know, maybe we'll have you back on again one day.
Maybe.
Put
in a request for it. We'll get it soon.
But and both
Put it
you,
on the
Michelle
calendar.
and Nathan, thanks for sitting in with us too.
Thanks for having us, bro.
Watch us on YouTube and check out our audio versions on Apple Bean or Apple, Google,
Podbean.
Spotify, and Podbean.
That's good.
One of these days, I'm going to get that like smooth.
And since Sam is no longer here, there's a camera over here somewhere, but don't forget to like and subscribe. Share it if you can.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to carry that message, so.
Awesome.
Okay, well, stay grateful.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.